the Two Hammers podcast. Hello and welcome to the Two Hammers show here on Claret and Booze. This show moving forwards will be hosted by either myself, Gary or John and one other hammer. Two Hammers. The clue is in the title. The idea is that we invite somebody else in from the outside to give a different perspective, a fresh perspective on current events at West Ham. If you want to criticise me or John, especially John or Gary, that's absolutely fine. Crack on in the live chat. But in the live chat, please, please, please be nice to the guests. Don't be rude. We're going to talk. We're going to have a chinwag on current events. And then probably the last 10, 15 minutes, we'll do a QA as well, where you can kind of put your questions in the chat and then we'll have a little chat about what you want us to talk about as well. Okay? So I think that's pretty much cleared it up. So let's get on with the show. We're here.
Come on, boys.
And as you can all see, this week on episode 7, we've landed a big one. We've got Kriss Alakbusi, MBE. Kriss Alakbusi, MBE. How are you, mate?
Mate, honestly, you guys have been a breath of fresh air in the hemisphere over the last couple of years.
I can't believe you watch us.
Oh gosh, all the time, mate. I love you going ballistic.
Yeah.
That
never happens, Kriss. It never happens.
It's wonderful. And then Gary tries to be the voice of reason.
Yes.
It's great, mate. You guys have got great chemistry. And I love all the punters that come on. It's massive, mate. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you very much, mate. Thank you very much. Obviously, we had a little chat before we came on air. You're well aware of the current state of things at West Ham. So we are gonna get stuck into all of that shortly, everyone. But for those of you that don't know who Kriss is, which is going to be very, very, very unlikely, I've written all this down. I've never had a guest like yourself, Kriss. So it's normally a very easy intro, but this is ridiculous. Right? It says Kriss, MBA, born 28th of November 1958. A British broadcaster and former sprint and hurdling track and field athlete. Before we get into your kind of your accomplishments on sort of track and field, what in terms of British broadcasting, Kriss, what sort of stuff have you done?
Well, I mean, my big break into TV was actually The Big Breakfast, which was a show in the sort of early 90s. You know, with,
remember that?
Yeah, that was great. Record Breakers. So I did Record Breakers with Roy Castle and Cheryl Baker. And then, loads of game shows, they think it's all over. Just loads of game shows.
You pop up all over the place, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, not so much now. Now it's sort of like 2 or 3 times a month. I'm on GB News giving my views on social affairs in the morning. But so not so much now, but every now and again, I'll pop up somewhere. You never know. Like a bad penny. A bad penny, mate.
And now to add to your sort of broadcasting portfolio, you've been on Claret and Booze as well. You'll still stick that on there,
yeah. I do get a little bit excitable, so I've got to calm down a little bit every now and again. You won't believe it. I'm 64. I still got all the energy as I was when I was like, I think I'm a real tigger. Sometimes I just feel like I'm a big kid. I've got to grow up sooner or later.
You never will. We never grow up, mate. We never grow up. Right now, you might correct me on some of these. I'm going to run through some of your accomplishments. So in the Olympic Games, it says 1984, Los Angeles. You got a silver in the 4x400 meters relay.
Yeah, Nick, that's my cue to get it out. And I had that with me every single day of my life, mate. I've had that for me for 39 years.
So that was your first one?
That's my first one, and that's the one that really means the most to me. Even though I've won bigger and better, that's the one that means the most to me.
Blimey. 1992 in Barcelona, you got a bronze in the 400-meter hurdles.
Yeah.
Same year in Barcelona, 4x400 meters relay, you got a bronze. In Tokyo, 91, you got a gold in the 4x400 meter relay. Yeah. 1987 in Rome, you got a silver in the 4x400.
Yeah.
In Tokyo in 1991, don't know why that's bounced backwards and forwards. You got a bronze in the 400 meter hurdles.
Yeah.
Hang on. And in 1986 in Stuttgart, these are good. You got these are all golds, so they're all gold medals. So 1986 in Stuttgart, 4x400 meter relay, 1990 split 400-metre hurdles, 1990 in split 4x400-metre relays, and then representing England for the Commonwealth Games 1990 in Auckland, 400-metre hurdles. You got a gold. I mean, that's unbelievable, Kriss.
Yeah.
You got some trophy cabinet. You got a better trophy cabinet than West Ham.
Oh yeah, different sport, different league. It doesn't really matter, no. But the great times, Nick, and it's just amazing. I mean, it's a long time ago now. It's all 30 odd years ago, but it has flown by like that. It's just flown by like that. And I remember the days. What's a day? But they were great times, Nick. You know, I tried all sorts of sports, but track and field athletics, that was it. That was the one where I managed to push on and get to the top. So really enjoyable, mate.
And did your kind of, your broadcasting stuff, did you dip in and out of other bits and pieces whilst you were an athlete, or was you?
No. So all my broadcasting came after my track and field athletics, really.
Oh, right, okay.
You get interviews, you do a few. Wogan, there was a guy. Do you remember Wogan? I really okay, because if you say that to a kid today, Wogan, what's his name?
No, I remember him well.
Wogan, Jonathan Ross. You'd be on all these shows through your athletic career. What's his name now? Mr. Blobby. No Edmonds. No Edmonds.
Oh, yeah.
Blobby, all that sort of stuff. You do all these crazy shows. Miss Merton, crazy shows. You do all those sort of crazy shows as you come up for your track and field career. But then it was after then that I had my own particular broadcasting career, which was in the main Big Breakfast, Record Breakers, and then, they think it's all over and all that sort of stuff. And then also there was obviously Jack Whitehall. So Jack Whitehall, loved Jack because Jack was one of those guys who grew up as a kid watching me do my sport. And when he went to university, he used to do the Akabusi tour, talking about Akabusi. And then all of a sudden, when he became big and famous, Akabusi, get on my show, son.
Yeah. It's brilliant. Do you know when you're coming towards the end of your athletic career?
Yeah.
Did you have kind of one eye on broadcasting as it was coming towards the end? Was you trying to sort of get your personality out there a little bit more so that you could kind of jump into that, or did it just happen?
Yeah, Nick, it just happened. Look, the fact is that I was really fortunate because as I became good in track and field athletics got such a high profile. So actually people went behind the scenes and they began to see your larger than life character, your laugh, some of your sense of humour. Yeah. And so TV come tapping on my door.
Oh,
would you like to go? And that's why, like with the Big Breakfast, I didn't have a Dolly Blue. No. They said, "Oh, come on, you can do the show in the morning." I'm sitting there, they're counting me down, and boom, you're live on air. Bam, go for it. Of course, what do? I laugh. Oh, that was it.
Would you say, because like with me, I don't know whether it's the same thing, because I can be a little bit like that. Like I get a little bit anxious at times if I'm going into meetings at work, and sometimes what I do is is that kind of your natural personality comes out, or do you think sometimes it's like I don't know, like you get nervous and it's kind of So you throw yourself in. It's like, I think they say you fake it till you make it, don't they? When you're in that sort of environment.
Yeah. No, you're right. So Nick, you're right in as much as this. All of my, because I'm actually, people don't believe it. I'm actually an introvert. I'm a quiet, but actually, like even now, I'm buzzing because I don't know what else to do. I've watched you. I'm on Claret and Blues. Right. Blah! Go!
Yeah.
And then, so I get all this hyperactivity. It's actually a nervous reaction to be on the spot.
Yeah. I get the same thing. I think a lot of people do. I get I've never got used to it. It's like even now, with what I do with work, I have to go into a lot of client meetings. And even now, if I'm going in to meet new people, it never gets any easier. I'm all right if it's people I know, but it never, we're sort of meeting new people and stuff like that. Yeah, and I kind of, you throw yourself into it. It's like you're performing, aren't you? You kind of.
Easy, Nick. The fact is, I don't actually, the anxiety happens and then something takes over. And the word, I don't want to get too fresh, but the word enthusiasm has got Greek etymology, and it means as empowered by a God. And what it means is that there's this internal spirit that just comes out almost like Hulk-like and takes over. You know, no one's going to employ the real Kriss Alakbusi. I was called Keys at school because I'm very quiet. I'm bookish. And I keep myself to myself. But this beast that comes out, that's the guy that gets all the gigs.
Yeah. Well, that is also Kriss, though, isn't it? That's your.
Yeah. Well,
it's like your alter ego, that sort of thing.
Yeah, we're multifaceted. There's so many parts of us. You know, I'm a dad, I'm a brother, you know, I'm a friend, I'm a lover, and they're all very, very different. You can imagine my missus. She could have Kriss Alakbusi full blast in her face, could she? You know,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No.
We are.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. And getting into West Ham, when did it all start for you with West Ham?
So, as a kid, glory hunter, I supported Liverpool when I was like 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
And then I went to Clacton, and I was 7 or 8. Went to Clacton, and there was a guy there was at Butlins, and there's a guy they called Terry Fagg, and he had the caravan. I walked in to see Terry. He was from the East End, Greece.
Oh, right.
Gravesend, really, Gravesend.
Yeah.
He called himself East End, Greece. And in his caravan, West Ham United, Claret and Blue, team there, and there's a guy there called Clyde Best. And at that time, in the old First Division, there was no other black player. Well, there was Clyde Best and there was a guy called Adekoka, and they both played for West Ham. Yeah. And I saw that, and he was passionate West Ham. And all the holiday, we spoke about West Ham, and so that was it. I went because I was living then in the children's zone in Enfield, and I was supposed to be Dirty Spurs, but I went across the Witherley, bumped into the North Bank. But back then, what you would do, they would open the turnstiles. They're like 20 minutes, and then the people that took it, they would go. So you just bunk in, jumped over. In the North Bank, bam, it's in there, and it was. And you know, when you go to your first couple of games, and then you're in the North Bank, and you have all these great big blokes, and you're a little fella. And you get shot down, and then some great big meat fingers grab you back up here, mate. Yeah. And, it's just, and you just felt you went home buzzing because you just felt a parcel of it. You know what I mean? And so that was it. I was hooked, and so I saw West Ham all through the back in the 60s, 69, 70s, 80s, and that's it.
Oh wow. All the way through. Did you experience the 85-86 season? Was you?
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, all of that, of course. So you know the boys' basis, but you know, 75.
Yeah, no, it's only because you was still running at the time. You was an athlete, wasn't you? So I didn't know.
No. Okay, so you are. So I was going to say, I went. So I used to go to the North Bank all the time, right? Yeah. But then once I got into my sport, I went to Germany. I went to Germany in 79. So from 79 to 85, I couldn't go because I was in Germany. So every now and again, I'd get to go to away games, mostly, when I was on leave. You know, and then I sort of picked up a season ticket again. Well, it was probably just before the Premier League era. Picked up a season ticket again.
Oh, right.
But as we speak, I don't have a season ticket. I've not had a season ticket for 2 years because when we had COVID.
It's the same as me, Chris.
Yeah, and then I come, and then we'll get, and then the football that we're watching now. I've gone a couple of times.
Yeah,
I'm not for because I used to have in the Paul Sandwiches a couple of tickets there. I'm not paying $5,000 to watch this, mate. So.
No. It's just not worth it, and it hasn't been the same. So it sounds like you gave it a go over the new place. And it hasn't because it's the same as me. I mean, I really did for a few years, but then when COVID came. I wasn't overly happy. I mean, as luck would have it, because sort of during COVID, West Ham were brilliant. When we was on lockdown, it was great to watch, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But it was kind of for me. I never really adapted or adjusted. My boys didn't either. We didn't like the change. And when COVID came, it kind of made it very easy to step away from that because I run my son's football team as well, and because we was massive and we was in Europe, so Thursdays and Sundays that was my football days with them. So. I did just let it go. I still go to a lot of games, but I don't have a season ticket anymore. I don't have a season ticket anymore.
Me too. So I get invited by a couple of my friends to home and away. I get a couple of Paul Sandwiches away. You know, so we went to Dirty Spurs, went to Bournemouth, been to a couple of games away. but it's now wall to wall. You can see it all on the box everywhere. I follow you guys, so I get that sense that I'm still a fan. I belong, and I will go again. We had there's a girl called Kim. I'm trying to think of her surname, but Kim used to do all my bookings and stuff. Well, they binned her, so because she's gone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Kim. I mean, I knew Kim for about 20 odd years. I mean, Kim was there for about 40 years, but I knew Kim. She was my relationship manager for about 20 odd years, and then they binned her.
What was that? Was that when we moved?
Yeah, no, she was there for when we moved, but then through COVID, she got the contact through COVID.
Oh, nice.
And the thing is that Kim was, I'd call her up, East End girl, or she'd call me up. I'd call her up. She'd look after me, get me my tickets away and stuff. And always, and because she spoke to me, yeah, Kim, I'm in again. So I'd buy my 2 season tickets.
Yeah.
But because, and that's what I think we do poorly at West Ham. We don't understand. It's about relationships. Kim was West Ham United to me.
Yes, yeah. As part of your experience, getting a ticket, doing all this was her. She was
your
conduit. Yeah.
Exactly. And so she's not there. They don't call me. I don't call them. I've not been for 2 years.
No. We never know, mate. One day. I don't know about next season, though. It's going to be interesting. So let's get onto current day anyway. So obviously the season finished in the best way possible.
Yes.
Certainly in my lifetime, you've experienced a lot more.
Yes.
But in my lifetime, that's the first time I've ever seen us lift a trophy. I was born in 80, but I was 5 months old. Can't quite remember it. So yeah,
you can't remember booking. You can't remember booking.
No, can't remember it. And so that was amazing to finish the way that we did. Obviously, the season itself, the Premier League season was let's just say it weren't great. The players that we got in, when you consider the summer that we had, we were star-studded. England's number 6, Brazil's number 10, Italy's number 9. A German, Kehrer came in. He was a starting German defender as well. We're thinking, oh my God, we're going all the way. This is amazing. We're really building up. And then we move into this window. We've just become European champions, Kriss. Yeah. Our Italian number 9 has gone.
Yeah.
Our English number 6 has gone.
Yeah.
And it looks now nailed on from what I'm reading that our Brazilian, and this is the real heartbreaker, our Brazilian number 8 or number 10, he can do both. Paqueta is going to be going. And that for me, I said it earlier on, when you look at the players that have gone out the door and the style of football that we play, he's kind of, I don't know, he's almost like a peace offering to the fans, I think, when you're looking at this style of play for next season, because he's you pay to go and watch him. He can do something magical. He can do something special. Even if the game's crap, he'll pull a ball out the air in a funny way or something like that. He's wonderful. He's just Mr. Entertainment, he is, in terms of football. And it looks like he's going to go. They inquired for 70 million, City. Apparently the talks have been going on for a while. But because, I don't know whether we registered interest in 7 players for transfer market or something like that. It's like the open forum. Yeah, so we did that. Well, one of them was a central attacking midfielder, which is Paqueta's position. So they've known about this for a while. But it's looking like City are gonna make a move. I think West Ham have basically said, if you're going to do it, do it. That's what I've heard. If you're going to put a bid in, do it, because we need the money. We've got to reinvest it. But, mate, how do you feel about that, about the potential of losing Paqueta?
Selfishly, I feel really bad for me, for the club, for the fans. I mean, and for me, out of the blue, I mean, there was no way. Rice, I was expecting, I knew, I understood that. And I thought that we were going to be building. And look, look. I knew that in 2 or 3 years we'd lose Paqueta. We're not big enough to hold him for coming. But I certainly didn't think of this year.
Not this year.
No chance. Especially once we lost the number 41. Quite clearly, and I thought, okay, well, we'll build around Paqueta. We'll have a couple of workhorses around him.
Yeah.
And he'll be the jewel in our crown.
Yeah.
But of course, I understand if you are him, and this is, I'm sure you get onto it.
I get it as well.
This is something that the club and Mr. Moyes has got to take on the chin, because actually what Paquette is really saying is, I cannot play any more of this
100%.
turgid football where there's no creativity and you're breaking me down. It took me 4 or 5 months to get used to it. And then when we flicked our fingers and said, I'm going to do it anyway, you saw what I can do. But if Man City come calling, I'm going. Because there I'll be able to thrive.
100%. 100%. And the fact is, people are saying that you can't pin this on, and they're right. Look, in a sense, in normal circumstances, if regardless who's managing, if Man City come calling, then fair enough, he's probably going to go whoever is there. But we know that he changed agents when at the close of the final. We know that he changed agents with Scamacca. You know that when people do that, they're obviously looking and fishing for a move. He's been linked with PSG. He's been linked with a few other clubs as well. And I mean, you're. I know it's a different game, but you're an ex-athlete, right? You've went at an elite level. Can you imagine in your head what it must be like for somebody at the top of their game, like Lucas Paqueta or whoever else, being held back from being able to perform and show what you're doing, not being given a platform to sort of demonstrate what you can really do? Do you think that there will be many flair players that would be happy in that scenario?
No, but it's more than that. The fact is, he's at the top of his game. So look, he came out, he went to Italy, he flopped in Italy, went back to France, got into West Ham, quite clearly with view of showcasing his skills. But he's made it. All of a sudden, he showed enough flair and virtuosity for Man City, the best team in Europe, if not the world, to come knocking on his door. And he's 25, 26. This is it, mate. He's going, and he's, unlike our number 41, who said he's going to win trophies and will be lucky to win anything. Yep. He's going to the best team in Europe and will guaranteed win 1 or 2 things
100%
each year for the next 2 or 3 years. Of course, I know what that's like. I know that when you're at the top of your game, you want to go to the biggest stadiums in front of the biggest audiences and deliver the biggest performances. So quite clearly, he's going to say, this is my time. Get me out of here.
Yeah.
Of course.
I agree.
Who wouldn't do that?
No. Well, you would. You would. And I said the same earlier on. I was quite. You said you watched me little video earlier. I was quite morose sitting in the beer garden. But I did say. I said, how can we stop him? You can't stop him.
No, we can't.
You physically can't. And that's what we were saying when Declan Rice was. We'll move on to him in a minute. When Declan Rice was going, we kind of wanted it to be City, because when City come in, it's kind of like you've got this thing where it's like, oh well, it ain't because we're crap. It's because Man City are great. That's why they're going there. It's not as insulting. But that's so. Look, I think he is going to go there. But going back to Declan Rice, were you surprised that he chose Arsenal if he did want to go and win things, or do you think?
Well, no, I wasn't surprised in as much as if you're not as ambitious as you pretend you are, and actually what you really want.
There you go. See,
stay in London because your friends, and maybe he thought he could make a bigger impact himself as an individual in Arsenal than he could at City, because at City clearly he would have a role, but you look at Jack Grealish, you look at Phil Foden, you look at these players who are great British players, but are not nailed on first 11 each time and every time.
Yeah,
so I think he thought, stay in London, I'll be nailed on within a few months to be in Arsenal 11, but it shows the limitations of his ambition.
I believe so.
If he really,
I love this, Chris.
Wanted to be top draw. There's no other place than Man City, and you go there and you use your elbows, you get in, and you win the trophies you say you want to win.
Absolutely.
When you are now, you'll be look. He may. I'm a little bit different. I would be. Once I'll be happy for him. I wouldn't begrudge him winning a trophy at Arsenal. But what I do know is he's got less likelihood. What is he going to win? Is he going to win
they haven't won anything since 2005. So it's 19 years. So there's no guarantees they're going to win anything there.
No. I mean,
you know?
he might win a 2 Bob Cup. He might win the Carabao Cup. He might win the FA Cup. But you're not going to win the Premier League. But if you went to you're guaranteed over the next 3 or 4 years to win that 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
So it does. So look. I mean, to be fair, I do like him. He was great for us. Saw him coming through. I hope when he comes back to the London Stadium that he gets a half decent reception, because a lot of players have come back and had a better reception, and we've had a few of our bad reception. But yeah, there was something not quite right. They said to me, "You're not as ambitious as you pretended you were."
100%. And I do think a lot of it was driven from family as well, because his dad's his agent, and there was something to do with agents. They was changing the rules as of this window just gone, where family members of football agents, apparently there was limitations on how much you could make out of a deal if you were a family member. So there were certain things like that. So I think this was the last year that Mr. Rice, Senior Rice could cash in. So that could have been part of it as well. Yeah. And you can't blame Rice for that, wanting to look after his dad, I suppose.
No, exactly. You do take advice from those closest to you, and he will trust his father because his father's been in his life for a very long time, correct?
Yeah.
He's going to trust his father.
Yeah.
But you would like to think that his father would be thinking about his son and what's best for him. If the statement is true, you're leaving to win trophies. If you want a trophy cabinet full of gongs, you're going to get them at City. But you don't. What you want, Arsenal is, it's painful to say, but is an upgrade on us. I don't like it when he compares us with him.
No.
But we won more than them.
We have. We literally. Well, the thing is, he's talking about he's leaving to win things. He just won something. He just won something to us.
Exactly.
But anyway, that's enough of he who should not be named. Yes. I haven't got any bad feeling towards him. I don't wish him any harm. I just hope that he flops at Arsenal, because that means Arsenal flop. So that's kind of my feeling there. If he succeeds, they succeed.
I'm not like that. I don't want him to flop. He's a lovely lad, and he did well for us over the last few years.
Yeah,
I would like him to do. I mean, I want him to do well. I want him to do well for England.
He can have his success for England, Chris. He can have his success for England. Don't worry about Arsenal.
You're a naughty man, Nick. You're a naughty man.
I know. Bloody minded.
You are, Nick. You are.
I know. Right. The other one, obviously, the transfer took a while with Declan Rice. We was negotiating publicly out in the open, 100 million. It took what felt like about 2 months. We eventually got the money. Everyone knew what we had. Not only that, we broadcast to the world that Arsenal were forced to pay it over 3 installments. So we're cash rich, and then we go out there in the transfer window. We start trying to get bargains off of other clubs. Was never going to happen. How do you feel about this window so far? I mean, I must admit, I was excited with the Mexican lad. He hasn't been unveiled yet. So I'm hoping he ain't been Moyes. He ain't been unveiled yet, but he's set to be. He's done his medical. Apparently he's done his media work, and that's going to be done. So we've got Alvarez. That's really good. Proper Chris. He's literally. I don't know. You might not have seen much of him. No. He's Thomas Repka-esque in terms of he's aggressive. Bit nasty. He's a bit nasty. He's I got corrected. He's 6'2", real powerhouse. He can play centre back and central defensive midfield. He started out as a centre back, same as Deck. He's got kind of a wide range to his game. He's going to be a fan favourite, but he will give us that defensive cover in front of defence. So it was great. I thought brilliant, solid foundation for us to build on with Paqueta in front. And then do you know what? Even if I hadn't with the James Ward-Prowse news, we'll talk about Harry Maguire later. But with the James Ward-Prowse news that came through today, if it had just been James Ward-Prowse, I would have been absolutely fine. I actually would have, now I would have, because you'd have had Alvarez, who's 25. You got Paqueta in there, and James Ward-Prowse, who is an upgrade on Thomas Souček, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
He's an upgrade on Thomas Souček.
Souček is going nowhere. Souček is a lump child. He's going absolutely nowhere. He's going, and that's. I'm trying to imagine. So Souček is nailed in. He's the first guy on the team sheet.
Yeah.
So he's nailed on. Alvarez, you ain't going to spend that money on Alvarez and not have him. So he's nailed on. Paqueta, I thought, was nailed on. JWP, do you spend 30 million or not?
He'll play. He'll play.
What sort of, how does our midfield look? What does that look like? I mean,
I mean the formation. I mean, I'll tell you what. We'll talk about the formations in a minute. Let's get on to the next one. Let's get on to the next one. The real bone of contention, and that's Mr. Slabhead himself, Harry Maguire. Were you surprised at this one? I mean, I'm gobsmacked. I am. I don't think there's many centre backs out there that have got a 9-minute long show reel of their fuck ups from the last 2 years, Chris. And they're unique. They're unique. They just keep coming. It's passes, it's slips, it's everything else. But look, at the end of the day, I think what we've got to remember is Man United did buy him for 80 million for a reason. He was good once. He's decent for England. He's good for England. What are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on this transfer?
I wouldn't have gone in for him, but I understand why Moyes has gone in for him.
Yeah.
And I think he'll be much better for us than he was for Man United. Because, I mean, if you remember, at Leicester, he was good because they had a deep defence and played counter-attacking football. So all he did was boom, head it out, boom, head it out, and then they pumped it up to Vardy. The problem is we haven't got a Vardy. We haven't got the speedy outlet. So that's our problem. But with him, I can understand there's not going to be a big gap between him and the goalkeeper for them to run around. We're not going to ask him to get it and be a ball playing centre half. We aren't going to ask that. You know, we've got. Well,
the clips I've seen, Chris, you don't want him being a ball playing centre half. You
no,
really
exactly.
Don't.
And we're not going to ask him to do that. We're going to ask him to clear it, rose it, head the ball, be a tank to get around. You know, and Aguard would do all the ball passing, and Alvarez would do all the ball passing. You just clear it, and more importantly, you know what is also there is to be an attacking threat in the 6-yard box with him, Alvarez, Souček, and any other slaphead we could chuck in the box.
Absolutely.
And Ward-Prowse will be thrown in those curves, and that's how we score our goals. Forget flair, virtuosity.
Forget football.
Because, forget football. That's what it's going to be.
I know.
But to be fair, I don't think for long. Because
but that's the worry, Chris. This is what a lot of people are saying. I mean, and because if that does happen, say for instance this new little project that we're doing now, which is going full Moyes. This is like 200% Moyes that we're doing now, stripping out every element of flair and replacing it with industry. Going for the full set piece thing. If this doesn't work, and then after 6 games to 10 games, we move David Moyes on, what manager do you then get to come in and sort this out with this group of players if David Moyes has spent all of the funds as well? That's the worry.
But you have got a director of football, Steiden, and you know we've also heard he's supposed to be the sort of the jewel finder.
The pearl diver, he's the pearl diver.
That's the one. So you're not going to. If Moyes spends 120 million on top of his 300 million he spent already, we're not going to spend another 120 million, are we? What we're going to do is we're going to get a couple of youngsters who we don't really know at the moment, and they're going to be, the creatives. I mean, they're going to be Pablo Fornals before he was Moyes.
Oh. Well, Pablo's still there. Pablo's still there, right? I mean, what is this?
But Nick, you say he's still there, but we haven't got the Fornals that came as a junior Spanish international who do tricks and flicks. We've now got a workhorse who runs up and down, tries to cover the defence, and he's not. He's
been turned into a veteran carrier, isn't he? That's what's happening.
He's a war carrier. He's a war carrier now. So. We've lost our flair, and that's why Paqueta was going. Paqueta looks at that and goes, "I'm not having that.
No,
I'm going to go." So to get back to it, I suspect that what we saw in the first 18 months, or last season and the first 6 months of this season, where we were struggling in the Premier League, I think will happen again because we've got no pace, no outlet, and then that will mean at the end there's a tic tac coming, boom, and then Steiden will get the transfer market in January to bring in some young kids, and we'll kick on, and we'll survive, and have a cup run, and we'll kick on, and then the new era will begin. But I guess if you kept hold of Mr. Moyes and didn't sack him, you had to back him.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Sullivan seems to be quite a loyal guy, and he's got to back his manager. Otherwise, so he's done it. So okay, off you go then. Let's see what you can do. So Mr. Moyes will have no comebacks now. Start August 11th. This is your team. You spent 300.
This is true. What you're saying is 100% true, and everyone that have kind of suggested that players that have come in the past might not have been his players. I still can't believe he brought Paqueta in. I don't think he's a very Moyes-like player at all. Scamacca players like that. So this is literally he has been backed. He's been given the tools now. It's just unfortunate that West Ham have got to collapse before we can rebuild again. I just wish we could have just been progressive, Kriss, because going back to I've been having a few debates, and it does feel generational now. I think there's kind of a new generation of fans that have come in. Nigel made the point on a show a few months back, and he said that because you've got young fans that have only known the recent years, and then David Moyes has come in, all of a sudden we've won a trophy. They think he's a god, and the way that he plays football is a way to play. And then Mickey asked a question the other day to us on one of our shows, and he said, "What are you? Are you style or are you substance? What do you want?" And for me, I didn't become a West Ham fan to win things. I've never seen us win anything, but I've always expected us to have a go and be entertaining. And I crave to have that back, Kriss. I do.
Yeah. And we've always been that sort of team. We've always had a Brooklyn. We've always had a Devonshire.
Yeah.
We've always had a Berkovic. We've always had fair players that have allowed
been
go,
so many, mate.
Go and do your thing.
Yeah.
We have. We've always had. We've always had. The McAvenny and Cotty. We've always had the. It come from Arsenal. God, big Ginge. Oh God, what?
Oh, Hartson
and Kitson. Boom, boom.
Yeah, Hartson and Kitson. Yeah. I know.
Denver Bar and Decani. Boom, boom. We've always had.
Yossi Benayoun, players like that as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Get you off your seat. They make your 10 bob worth spending. They make your fish and chips on the way home feel good. You've been there, and you've turned over a Liverpool, a Man United, dirty Spurs. You've turned over a side 2 or 3 times a year. You've turned over a side, and you've been mid-table mediocrity.
Yeah,
you've had your 10 bobs worth.
Exactly. Yeah, and I said this the other day, and someone said to me, "Well, what if we get all these players in, which we're doing, and we get mid-table?" I'd be like, "Well, if we're doing that on our hands and knees, and we're shithousing our way to mid-table." No, I wouldn't be happy. I'd be happy with mid-table if we was playing good football, making some good memories, like you just said, taking a few interesting scalps as well along the way, having a go. That's what I'd like to see. What I can't tolerate, and I can't, is watching 2 football teams, which is predominantly what we watch, and you can see the opposition. Their game plan has been designed in such a way to break us down. How can we craft an opening? How can we score a goal? How can we do this? Our game plan is 100%. How do we stop them from doing that? So it's like we're just spoilers, Kriss. That's all we are.
Yeah. Look. So success breeds success. So look, if we had a boring brand of football but was 1-0 to the Arsenal, I think you'd probably get used to it. The boys back in the day who used to watch 1-0 to the Arsenal, they weren't complaining when they were playing European football. So. As much as it's not what I want.
Don't you need success for it to be tolerable, though?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So if it's 1-0 to Arsenal and you're top 4 and you are playing European football, actually there comes an enjoyment in being a team that's got a great defence because that's football. But we're not like that. What we are is what we saw the last 18 months, scraping in the bottom 3, every now and again coming up 4 or 5 from bottom and seeking in again, and you've got your sphincter giving it this. We're going down. Yeah, and there's no joy. You're knocked out of the cup games early. No, that I'm not in for. But I've got a friend who was a Stoke fan, and he was saying, I mean, I'm not saying this, but he's a Stoke fan, and they hated Pulis, who was like Moyes, and then they got rid of Pulis, and they come out of the Premier League, and they're unhappy now because they wish they. No, I don't. Don't get me wrong.
But you know that could happen. The longer you keep a brand of manager and you allow them to build an ethos into a club, which means that you've got a squad of players that are used to playing that way and are only useful if you play that way, there would be no point. If all you've got is 11 cloggers, there's no point going out and bringing in a progressive manager because he can't teach someone how to pass the ball. You know, so I think that's half the battle. I think if you allow this guy to imprint himself on this team like he's going to do in this window, I do think it's going to be really hard. It's going to be hard for us to move away from him.
You're right there, because there was a saying in strategic management that culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Yeah.
And so what I hear you saying, if you embed a culture of turgidness, of spoiledness, of cussedness, waiting for the 3 or 4 opportunities you might get from a set piece. If that's the culture, and then you try to get somebody who says, okay, we've got a new strategy, you can't break the culture.
No,
because it seeps deep.
It's embedded. It's embedded. Yeah.
It's deep. It's connected tissue. It's a sinew that holds it together.
It will never be embedded in us. We will always push back against it, though, Kriss. We will.
Come on,
especially on Claret and Booze. We won't have it. So they will never. That turgid will never be embedded in me. I can tell you that much.
You're worried. There's no doubt about that.
I know, but I can't tolerate it, mate. Look, don't get me wrong. I don't expect us to play like Barcelona. I just, in fact, the best period.
No, you want us to play like West Ham.
I want us to play like West Ham. Do you know something? It's like people say, "Oh, you want us to be spraying the ball about like Man City? We ain't got Man City space." No. Do you know something? If we're going to do what we're doing at the moment, if you're going to be a counter-attacking team, then at least be fucking exciting when you're counter-attacking. Get some good counter-attacking players that can hit them as well, so that you're a threat on the counter. Do you remember like the probably the best 6 months under David Moyes? Take away the silverware. The best 6 months under David Moyes was when Jesse Lingard came in.
Yes.
We was exciting because we had pace in attack all of a sudden. That was good. That was good to watch. I could watch that. I wouldn't have an issue. I just want to see us having a go. And what we've done is we've regressed and I don't get it.
We remember when I think it's a Pardew team where and the players were nowhere near as talented as the players we've got now. But you had Matty Etherington, who would absolutely sprint down that byline and whip it in, and try to get something going. Well, we don't do that anymore. We don't. What we do, we go down and then we cut in and try and do this with first.
It's because all of our wingers are always inverted, Kriss, and they're always on their weaker foot. So Moyes is always complaining about Benny's delivery, for instance. Well, whenever he runs down the wing and whips a ball in, it's on his left foot. And sometimes we're not clinical either. So, like when you play, you've got your inside forwards that are on their wrong foot. If you play them through from a central area, when they run through on goal, they're on their weaker foot. Jared Bowen's on his right foot. Benny's on his left foot. I just don't understand. I mean, I do get the inverted forward things. It does work. But I don't believe I've ever seen David Moyes once in 3 years, not even mid-game, switch him over. Just to make him into conventional wingers, just once, just to get down. Poor Mickey Antonio, who, as he said in his podcast, literally the guy does. When you saw Mabama the other day, and you've seen Skamaka and you see Ings, I know a lot of people criticise Mickey. He frustrates me as well, but only then can you see what that guy fucking does. And he literally does. He polishes a turd. No, he does, because he says you have to feed off scraps. Mikel Antonio will make a bad ball good. He'll jump up, he'll win a header, he'll run onto his own fucking flick on because there's no one there for him, Kriss. And I just kind of, and you looked at Mabama against Leverkusen the other day, and I worried for him because this kid's talented, really, really talented. And I think that Moyes ball will kill him. I do. So I think if David Moyes is staying, which he is, I said the other day, I think it'd almost be worth Mabama, better for him, whack him out on loan, let him skip Moyes. Does that make sense?
No, 100%. No, it makes great sense because there's no doubt about it. Like you said, I mean,
he ain't physically there yet to do that role. He will be. He's massive, isn't he? He's a lump, but he's not there yet. He's only 18, isn't he, Mabama?
Yeah, he's young lad. Yeah, he's young lad. But he'll be spoiled. I want to say we spoiled Pablo Fornals. We spoiled Pablo Fornals.
Yeah.
You know, and Mabama will go exactly the same way. You'll spoil those guys. And like you said, I mean, you can think of Chikorito, you can think of Danny Ings. Danny Ings is a good striker, but not as a lone striker.
No.
For us. It's good.
Funny.
When he's at Southampton, it's good for Southampton.
Mate, the funniest thing was we signed him from Aston Villa, who sold him because he couldn't play up front on his own. Exactly. That's why they sold him. And we brought him. It's not his fault. He ain't a bad player. He's a good player, Danny Ings. But he just can't. He can't do that role. You can see physically he's not suited to that. You know, you can see he's not big enough.
Absolutely. Well, and he's not interested. He tries, and then a big old centre back holds him back like that, and then he's done.
Yeah.
Chikorito couldn't play it. If Chikorito couldn't play it, and he's better than Danny Ings ain't going to play it. No,
not at all. Right. So what I'm going to do before we move into the chat and we go into a QA, start putting your questions in, people. Rate our transfer window so far, including taking into account all the players that have gone in this window, players that are coming in, even include players that we're linked with bringing in, because I'm not being funny. The only other one is McTominay. Rate it out of 10, Kriss.
5.
A 5. That's quite fair. I think that's quite fair. Yeah, I would definitely go lower. It's not great though, is it? This window, I don't think.
No, it's 5. It's a 5 out of 10 because you can see what's happening. We've got rid of all our talent. Skamaka's talented.
Yeah.
Paqueta is gone, talented. Number 41 was talented.
Yeah.
You told me Alvarez is good. Maguire is okay. JWP, his legs ain't great. It's okay. He's good on the dead ball, but his legs ain't great. Don't get him turning around trying to defend the ball, running back. He's not, not box to box, so he's okay. I don't know what there is to get excited about. Now, I might be proved wrong, and I hope to be proved wrong. Hopefully, Mr. Moyes is a tactical genius, and all of a sudden the scales fall from my eyes, and we play this brand of football, and it works. And it could
happen. We don't know. We don't know until we see it play out. But the only thing is, talking about captains as well, we understand that David Moyes has promised Harry Maguire that he will be West Ham captain if he comes into the club. I don't really agree with that. Like new players coming in, picking up the captaincy straight away. But if you're taking that tact, I think the only option out of the two players that you're bringing in, if you're bringing in James Ward-Prowse, is James Ward-Prowse. I've done a bit more reading. I've been a little bit less ignorant towards him, just because it's looked like we're going to sign him. And the guy's apparently, he set standards. He's one of those guys, Mark Noble-esque, in the changing rooms. He's a real leader, real positive guy, always puts in 100%. His kind of attitude is fantastic the whole time. He is a captain. He's a proper captain. So out of the two of them, when you look at what he's done for an extended period of time versus Harry Maguire, who hasn't proven to be the best captain at Man United, who would you, if you're going to do that, who would your captain be? Or do you think you've got to give it to Slabhead?
Well, if you promise it to him, and that's how you got him through the door, then you have got to give it to him. I think it's very hard for Maguire to be a captain at Man United when Man United are not very good. It's easy to be a captain at Man United when you're good, but he's been there when Man United have been quite poor. And what have they won over the last few years?
This is true. He has been captain during a bad period.
Yeah, but exactly. Yeah. If he was captain with the boys of '92, he'd be a brilliant captain because they won everything over the next 10 years. So I think it's probably unfair to judge him on that. But your point is germane. If you say that although Ward-Prowse come from an underperforming Southampton team, if Southampton said though that he was the guy that set standards, dragged them up by their boots, then maybe he would be an appropriate guy to be captain. But then he's another guy who's come from outside, parachuted in. Do you want anybody who's parachuted in to be the captain? There
are. I can kind of see what because it looks like these are being done now. I watched DJ Russie B show on the West Ham network earlier on. Very positive guy, always finds a positive angle. But I must admit, I found myself listening to what he was saying and I couldn't really argue. So he said, you've got Moyes at the moment is damaged goods. You know, he needs this to work this season, even though he's just won a trophy. He's gone out and he's gone and got James Ward-Prowse, who's going to play his arse off because he's going to want to get in the Euros in the summer. Harry Maguire, going to want to play his arse off. Players with points to prove. He seems to be going out there targeting a few players like that. He did it with Lingard and it worked. So maybe that's kind of the type of character that he's gone for. Because it certainly did with Lingard. We saw how good Lingard was for Nottingham Forest when he didn't have that carrot of England. You know, not very good at all. But so it does look like there could be. Yeah, I might be clutching at straws. You know, I could.
Well, yeah, but we got to because we got what we got, and the season starts on August 11th. There's only a few days to go, so
that's it.
8 or 9 days to go. So we got what we got. But listening to you and feeling as I feel, normally, I look forward to a season. I remember my lad's here with me today. I remember when he was a little boy. He's 15 now. He was a little boy, and we went to Aston Villa. West Ham were playing Aston Villa the first game of the season. And I was absolutely buzzing. Had my little boy, come on, son, we're going to see West Ham. He was like 3 or 4. Went up to Aston Villa. We got absolutely spanked. But I went there optimistic, really excited.
Yeah.
Come on, you're going to see West Ham. And then this kid next door to me said, Akabusi, this is child abuse.
Yeah.
But normally you're optimistic. I've got to be honest. I'm sitting here and there's no fluttering, no excitement. I'm not optimistic for the season. I'm just sitting back and saying, okay, let me watch.
I mean, I'll tell you what, I haven't got any expectations for next season.
No.
I haven't. No. So in that sense, you know, hopefully we'll get pleasantly surprised. Right, Thomas.
And that'd be great, wouldn't it? That would be great.
It would be. It would be. Thomas McAveer, question. The best game that Kriss has been to? If you could pick one, if you could relive one, if you could go back in time and go to one game.
That's a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer. Last game at Upton Park.
Oh, Kriss, what a day.
Oh, what a day that was. Absolutely electric. The atmosphere was massive. We were losing. Boom, boom! I was like on drugs. I was absolutely buzzing. Yeah, I mean that one playoff. The playoff.
That was football poetry. The last day at the bowling.
Oh, it was just absolutely. Billich was. I mean, it was just. I mean, you could not have written a greater script. It was just, and was this really happening? Am I really here? Did we really beat? Man, it was just a phenomenal day. I mean, the whole build up, going to the ground, getting ready, the nostalgia. Is this really going to be our last game? The players coming out, the fans were absolutely electric. Yep. You could cut the atmosphere with a knife. The game starts. Oh my gosh, we're down. Coming, it was just massive.
And you know, we sucked that ball into the net as well, like the fans 100%. Did, because me brother I was in the West Upper, and me brother said, you know, David De Gea was getting dogs abuse down there. He was getting rattled. He was getting rattled. They was in his ear constantly. So when he kind of spilt that ball, didn't he? And the thing is, you play your part. It's all part of it, isn't it?
Absolutely right.
Yeah. So we
really were the 12th man that year. That day, we were the 12th man.
That 100%. We was never ever going to lose that game. We weren't.
No.
Right. John says, who is your favourite player? I suppose favourite player of all time at West Ham, if you could pick one. Is there a standout?
6'2", eyes are blue. It's up to you. Na 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 na. Oh, Billy Bonsley was the governor. His socks would roll down by his ankles. He would sort people up. I mean, there's so many. I could have said Brooking. I could have said the Terminator, Julian Dix. I could have said
Dixie. Dixie's probably mine. Dixie's probably mine. Dixie, I don't really remember Bonzo too much though. But
Bonzo was fabulous. He was.
yeah,
Listen, because back in that see now we look at football on perfect pitches. Back then it was like a cow field, and I could see Billy Bonds. His white shorts, filthy, socks down there. People are bad, and he's in a war zone.
Yeah.
Really, and he was the governor.
Could you liken him to a modern day player at the moment? Could you liken Billy Bonds to a modern day player in terms of his?
Yeah.
Was he quite unique?
Yeah, he was. He was aggressive. You could sort of say. Can you remember Keane at Man United?
Yes.
Can you remember Roy Keane when he played at Man United?
Yeah.
Billy Bonds was a Roy Keane.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So he was a proper leader as well. Proper leader.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
You go into a battle with him. He didn't care. He didn't care if he had his nose broken or if he broke somebody else's nose. If there's a 60-40, if there's a 60-40 ball in their favour, he's winning it.
He's winning it. Yeah.
He's winning it. He was all over the pitch.
He's my type of player. Type of player.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm hoping our new Mexican's going to be like. Very similar because he's like I say he's got a bit of he's got the devil in him. Alvarez.
Yeah.
He really has. And I think we missed that. We missed that bite in midfield.
Yeah. No,
because as good as Deck was, Deck wasn't nasty, was he? Deck wasn't nasty.
No. Exactly. Bonds was nasty.
Yeah.
Nasty in a good way. You know, you could not. So like Sir Trevor, dainty, flicks, turns, a little bit of a with Trevor, Sir Trevor, you could see what he was doing, but you couldn't stop him doing it, right? So people would try to take him out, mate. Bonds, bam!
Yeah, straight for it.
Bam! You ain't coming to him again, son. You ain't coming to him again. And he was just magnificent because he was always dirty. He was always up. But also, he had skills. He could
spray the ball about as well.
Absolutely. What a player.
Well, I do know that he was rumoured to be one of the fittest players back then. He was like a modern day professional in the amateur game. He kept himself in really good condition, really, really fit. Sam Oak says, do you think the signings of Slabhead and James Ward-Prowse means that Moyes might get a new contract? Oh, Sam, don't say that. I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, look. The only way that happens is if, as Chris said earlier on, if we have a storming season this year, then do you know what? At that point, if we all enjoy the football next year, which I don't think we're going to, but if that did happen, then you probably wouldn't. You wouldn't know. No one would know.
You've got to qualify that. So when I say if we have a body, if we are never in relegation, we are top 6, 7, maybe even 8. Great runs into a couple of cups. Yeah, okay. You're the governor. We keep him. That ain't going to happen. We are going to be the bottom half of the table. Every now and again, what we're doing in the bottom 3. We'll be lucky to have a couple of cup runs, and he will go. And the management or the leaders, they would have shown loyalty to him. They're allowed to run his whole contract out. I don't understand it. Why we are scared of paying him off his 5 million quid or 2 million quid, whatever it is. But they decided on it. Fair play. But no, I will be surprised, and I hope that I am surprised.
Look, listen, most of all, the one thing that every West Ham fan has got in common is that ultimately we just want us to do well. We do. Yes. That is ultimately what we want. But right, Tony Wilkins' question. Now, I don't know what your football knowledge of new players is like overseas. So should we sell Pac-Man and get Fofana in to replace him? I can answer that one if you want.
Yeah. Well, Fofana, I've heard he's a good player. I heard that. I've heard. Well, I saw that YouTube clip.
Different player though. He's a different player.
Yeah, he's box to box, and he's box
to box. Yeah, he's box to box.
He gets on the end. He can score goals.
Yeah, no, 100%. So I think Fofana would be a good player, but I never wanted us to get him in place of Paqueta. I wanted to get him in next to Alvarez. So you had Alvarez as a 6, Fofana as the explosive box to box, and then you got Paqueta doing his thing. He can do what he wants. He can pull the strings, That was my idea. So no, I wouldn't. He's not. He's definitely not a Paqueta replacement, because one thing is for certain: if Paqueta goes, he's going to have to get somebody with a little bit of craft in that team.
Yeah, good. No, I don't think he's going to do it, mate. I don't think he'll do it.
Oh,
I think if Paqueta, we haven't got the time. We haven't got the time. You see,
yeah.
the window closes in 3 weeks. Season starts on August 11th. We haven't. No, we are not Brighton.
No,
We're not. We're not going to say, yeah, you take our best player. We've got 2-3 more in the wings to come in to replace him.
I mean, you can see that from this window. You can see that from this window.
We still haven't replaced Hilaire.
No, I know, but you can see it from this window, Chris. In the way that we approach transfers, we have to. Even with Cresswell, we won't go and buy a new young left back, unless we sell Cresswell. Well, I don't understand that. I mean, like you just said about Brighton, 100%. If they're happy to sell a player, they've already got someone in.
100%.
You know it. They've already got someone in. And Leicester was like that as well. When they sold Harry Maguire, they was actually all right after they sold him. They had a good replacement coming through. But we seem to have to. It's like we've had to completely clear the decks and sell everyone and fatten up the bank balance. Maybe Sullivan just wanted to look at it for a little while. I don't know. Before we actually went out and spent any money, it just seems mental. Jonathan Boyce, question: we and Moyes talked about the Red Bull model. Is this not the Red Bull model? Losing our best players for more than we bought them for? It's a good question. On average, issue is we don't trust the ball to replace them. So I suppose, yeah. Well, what you're saying is, look, I think Paqueta is an example. Is the only example of the Red Bull model of a player that we would have got in for 50 million. And sold on a profit. Every other player that we brought in, we've sold Hilaire at a loss, we sold Vlasic at a loss, we sold, we typically we hemorrhage money on deals. But I know what you're saying. It's an example of what the Red Bull model would be bringing players in. But then again, I think, as you said earlier on, Chris, I wouldn't have minded it for a couple of years. I think we all expected to lose Paqueta next summer.
Yeah.
But for 1 year. It took him 6 months to get going, and now he's going to go. We've only seen a few months of him, really.
Yeah, exactly. I've heard the Man City boys are singing, "We bought your star," and they're having us already. We bought your star.
I don't mind City fans as much as the other lot. It was when Arsenal jumps on it. You sold your star to Mikel Arteta. That really annoyed me. That's really annoyed me.
Oh, I didn't hear that one.
Yeah,
I didn't hear that one.
You're going to hear it, Chris, when we play him.
Oh.
Right. We'll make this the last one. This is from my brother Gary.
Hey, Gary, how are you doing, mate?
And he says, if we make no further attacking players, if we sign no further attacking players, left wing striker, box to box midfielder, how many points? So no more signings.
Yeah.
How many points from the first 6? Bournemouth away, Chelsea at home, Brighton away, Luton away, City at home. That's a fucking bad run. City at home, Liverpool at home.
Bournemouth draw.
Yeah.
Chelsea nothing. We lose.
Yeah.
Brighton, we lose anyway. We know that one. Yeah.
We ain't going to win that one.
Luton wins. That's 4 points.
Yeah.
City, nothing. Liverpool, no. We got 4 points out of 6 games.
4 points from 6 games. Ooh.
We might, if we're lucky, squeeze 2 more out of Bournemouth.
I'll tell you that Bournemouth is a 6-pointer at the start of the season.
Yeah, 100%.
When you look at that run in, it feels like a bit of a 6-pointer, is it, at the first game?
That's what I'm saying. I think Mr. Sullivan looks at that, says, "We backed you, Mr. Moyes. Let's see what you got." Because I'm telling you now, if you do come with 4 points out of those 6 games, we are definitely in the bottom 3, and you'll get a tic tac.
Yeah. Well, I'd say I'm going to put one more up. I think you'll know these players, Chris. This is from Kent Hammers, very knowledgeable chap. He says, theoretical question: if we sold Paqueta, but we brought in Elise and Eze, would you? Yes, I would take that, Chris. I don't know about you. I don't know whether you would. Those two are mustard.
Yeah, no, I know who they are. Elise more than Eze. Eze, I mean, he's got something about him, but again, he's like I said about Trevor Booking. He's not as good as you can see what he's doing. I can see what he's doing, and I think he's stoppable. But Elise is absolutely great.
Elise's great. Eze's got that Rolls Royce look about him. He's smooth when he plays. He sort of glides across the pitch. I think they're two great players.
I mean, it's a great if. It's a great if question. It ain't gonna happen.
No,
it ain't gonna happen. But it's a great, because I mean, Palace will sell them, but we'd have to. Question is this: how much are we going to spend? Are we going to spend 30 million each on those two?
For me, right? Because I think what we've just said, I think that'd be 30 million. It would be about 30 million each, maybe more now. Especially because of the Declan Rice tax. So we've got that to factor in. But I'm kind of, I've said it already. I think Moyes has got his players now. What would you rather do? If I gave you the option, I'll ask you a question. Would you rather now say, right, Moyes, we've backed you. That's 100 million. We've given you the Declan Rice money, okay?
Yeah.
But if we sold Paqueta, got that money in, got Schemack. So there's another 130, 140 million in the coffers. And what they say is we're putting that in the bank for January. Basically, what that's doing is that's keeping a reserve for either David Moyes if he's doing well, or the new manager when they come in to give them a little bit of money to play with. Do you want it all spent now, immediately, or would you rather do that?
No. I think you say to boys, you've had your chance. Here you go. Let's see what you do. After 6 weeks, you're on your way, son. And you allow Steiden to do his job.
Exactly.
And he goes and you call it pearl diver or something?
He's a pearl diver, yeah.
Go and get a few pearls.
I called him a pearl necklace on the first show. I got it wrong.
Leave it. Don't go there, son. Don't go there. Naughty. You're now back to the old Sullivan and Gold, the old business, isn't you?
I know. Yeah. That's why they took him on. Sullivan heard he was a talent spotter, so that's why he got him in. Yeah.
That's so funny, son. That's so funny, yeah.
But I think I'll make you right, Chris. I think that's
you save the money. You save the money, and he gets hoisted by his own petard.
Yeah,
he's done it himself. I backed you. You've done it again. This is the third year. We brought in some players, and they've not functioned. You're on your way, son.
Absolutely. And then you've got a little pot of money there. We've got our director of football who's already in place.
Exactly.
And then if we do get a new manager in and you've got 130 odd million to spend, listen, as you just said, that director of football, he'll be able to go out and find 3 or 4 players for that sort of money. That's a lot of money for a guy that knows how to spend it.
And there's some players out there in Europe that we do not know. Like, for example, can you remember when Lanzini came to us?
100%.
Lanzini, nobody knew.
No one knew he was.
Yeah.
Didn't he come from Saudi or something? He was playing in Saudi, wasn't he?
Well, exactly. Somewhere out there. And what a player he was.
Yeah.
Straight away, you knew this guy's a talented player.
He broke my heart when he went. He's one of my favourite ever players for West Ham.
Really?
I love him. Yeah, I know. I mean, the only thing is, he'd been with us for 9 years. Listen, everyone says the same thing. He weren't the same after his injury. I don't think he would have been. I don't think he would have been with us for 9 years if he hadn't have got that injury. I think he was on his way 100%. To the very, very top. He was class. Yeah,
absolutely. Him and Payet that year. Him and Payet.
Yeah,
absolutely amazing.
No, weren't Liverpool after him, not as a replacement for Coutinho at the time, weren't they?
That's what I said. Yeah, Coutinho. He was Coutinho. Absolutely right. I mean, he was quality. But the point is, see, he came. No one knew him. Came in straight away. You knew he had quality there, and so I think that's what's going to happen. I think in the new year, starting, we'll get that 100, 110, and we'll have 4 or 5. Wow, where's this guy playing? We'll have a striker. Because Mr. Moyes is not going to get a striker. He's not.
Oh, I don't wish David Moyes on any more strikers after Scamacca. Honestly, I'm never going to get excited about a striker signing again. I think after the last few that we've had, do you know what? I don't want one. I genuinely don't. I think that actually made me quite sad with the way that it went with Scamacca and Haller, especially. I know he weren't Moyes' signing, but he fucking didn't even try with Haller. He didn't.
When Moyes was at Everton, he did well with Fellaini and Tim Cahill. Can you remember Tim Cahill?
That's it. Yeah.
A late arriving in the box, getting on pieces. So it wouldn't surprise me if we lost Paqueta, if Gallagher came from Chelsea.
Yeah.
Because for me, he's as close to Team Cahill as you're going to get. And you've got him and the love child Soucek. Is Fellaini and Cahill Mark II at West Ham. It wouldn't surprise me if that's what happens in this window.
You know, Gallagher is the one player that we've been linked with, which are kind of the out of the English ones that we've been linked to. I actually would like him because I think he's the right age profile, and I think he's a box to box. He would fit any manager. I think anyone could work with him. He'd fit into any system.
Yeah,
so he would be good. But yeah, we shall see, mate. But anyway, Kriss, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. Thank you very much for joining us.
I've loved every minute of it, Nick. I've loved every minute of it, Nick, and thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to being on with you, Gary, and Virgil. Sometime.
Well, that was crestfallen. I said, I'll ask him. We'll do a group one. I went, nah. He only wants. I said he only wants to come on with me. He don't want to talk to you.
No. I wanted to do this. I saw 100%. I love the cameras, but definitely want to come on with the boys.
Mate, that'd be brilliant. We'll get you on a Sunday night one.
Yeah, lovely. No, lovely.
That'd be good.
And that Arnie guy who keeps coming on, and the guy says, no C-bombs.
Oh, Nolly C-bomb.
And then boom, he drops one. Yeah, so yeah. Don't worry, I'll back you. I'll cover it. Boom, another one.
Another one. They are good. I must admit, the phone-ins have been brilliant because some of the characters, mate. The characters are fantastic, aren't they?
Yeah, you've got some absolutely fabulous guys. And then I like it when you guys hammer the Black Country lad. The Black Country guys, he's got that.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. He's he's from the Black Country. So he's not from Birmingham. He don't like you saying he's from Birmingham.
It's like Dudley.
Oh, yeah. I can't think where it is. He's Midlands. He's Midlands. Yeah, he's good. He was. I'm sure. What's this? We got. Oh, they've said Al Hilal. What is Al Hilal? Is that where he didn't play? Is that where Lanzini played?
Yeah, Al Hilal. Lanzini came from there. Al Hilal. That's it.
No way. Oh, really?
Yeah, Al Hilal. That's it.
Blimey. See, they listen. But anyway, everyone in the chat, it's been a brilliant show. I feel really privileged to have had you on, Kriss. This is a great, and thank you for agreeing to it. And it'd be lovely to have you back on again whenever you want to come on.
Fabulous, Nick. I'm looking forward.
You've made me feel better. I don't know about everyone else, but I was a miserable git earlier on, and you've kind of lifted my spirits.
Oh, good value, good stuff.
All right, now I'm going to let you choose. I'm going to let you choose our outro. We're going to go for a standard one, or should we give everyone a little bit of dose? Should we give them a dose of massive?
Absolutely, massive. That's the one.
Right, here we go. See you later. Cheers, Kriss. Cheers, everyone.
Wicked, jungle is massive. Wicked, wicked, jungle is massive. Wicked, yo.